Hey, good morning. Got my dog. All right, so today we're going to talk about you are enough. My name is Dr. Cheryl Meier, and I'm a psychologist, and that's it. You are enough. I'll show you this beautiful view. I was walking up to it. Oh, look at the sun ray. Look at that. You can't see it in real life. That's what we get, because you are enough. When you believe that and you know that, magical things start happening. Look at this. My intuition just said, turn it on. Turn it on. Turn on this understanding that you are enough. All right? Because when you start thinking, I know this from experience because I grew up with a dad who told us, that he was never enough for his own dad. Like, they came over here with hardly anything in their pockets, probably nothing. Someone else paid their passage to get over here to America a long, long time ago, and they lost everything. They had a lot, and then I won't go into the whole story of who they lost to, but and so I guess my grandfather was under the notion, with his religious upbringing too, that he always had to prove that he was enough, to God and to himself and to the world or whatever. And so my dad was never enough, and he believed that. And then I could believe that too, and you could believe that, or you don't have to. You can let go of that belief, understand that it's just a limiting belief. Who says that, Because I noticed the other day when I was thinking, I'm not enough, or that person's not enough, or this isn't enough, or this circumstance isn't enough, or you start seeing it everywhere. If you're in the mindset of not enough, then it's like, and there's not enough in my bank account, and there's not enough food in my pantry, and there's not enough love from God, from the divine. Divine love is love. Like God, the nature of divine is just love. It's like vibrating consciousness of love. And we are made out of that. And so when we get into the mindset, this is where it bites us, when we get into the mindset of not enough, it doesn't just stop with us. It spreads like a wildfire out to everyone and everything. And so then we start criticizing other people around us, and we start, instead of being in this place of awe and the beauty and seeing, like namaste is my soul self bows and sees and greets your soul self. Instead of being in that presence, that thankfulness, that state of mind, Bob Marley has a song. It's like, thank you, Lord, for what you're doing now. Thank you, Lord, for what you've done for me. Thank you, Lord, for you make me sing. Come in, I like to pray. It's such a beautiful song. Maybe I'll link it. I would love to link it here. In the comments, in the description. Sometimes I get downloads after the video, even more, because my mind's already been released in this category, and I put all this stuff in my comments that's like equal to, there's the sun ray again, equal to like a therapy session, But I want you to know the nature of not enough. Like, just because my grandfather thought that about himself and then taught my dad that. Look at this. Look at this. Am I not enough? Look at this sweet dog. Look. I didn't realize we're wearing the same thing. So yeah, I didn't. It's like if wherever my grandfather got that idea, like from whatever circumstance in his life, this is what I've been learning lately and teaching lately, is that let's say my grandfather had that feeling when he was a child for whatever reason, when all of their wealth and everything was taken away from them. That's an external worth, okay? That has nothing to do with his real worth, right? But let's say that happened as a childhood and his parents felt a lot of shame because, they had their worth built up in that. I'm just fleshing out a scenario here, okay? So you understand it for your own life, right? And then what happens in that is that produces a chemical in his brain, a chemical of shame and not feeling enough. And so it's so strange, but it's like what I've been learning is that we develop a certain nostalgia, this longing for these old feelings, even if they're crap feelings, even if they're not good. It's like your brain developed receptors for these feelings. And so it feels relieved when you start feeling that shame and rejection and not enough again and not loved and wanting love but not having, or wanting more abundance and provision and not having. And so you kind of get addicted to this feeling of lack. And so I met someone the other day, and I won't say who because I know this person follows me now, and so I don't want to betray any of this person's own story, okay? But this person was, I just met them in passing, in social settings, not as a client, and was telling me some story of childhood. And, you feel so deeply for that story. I don't know why my hair's sticking up, but we'll just leave it. It's enough. I'll put it up more. And so it's kind of like, it's this really sad story from childhood, but kind of like the one I was just thinking about with my grandfather. And so when you recall a memory and you say it all over again, so if I talked about the gruesome things that happened to my grandfather and opened up that whole story and entered into it, it's kind of like if it was me in that story, then it's like I'm reenacting that memory all over again and experiencing the pain of that as if it just happened. And so, you might ask, like, why would I do that? That's like torture. But what if it made me feel close to my parents? What if it was my grandfather here and he's like, let me tell you the story, and it made him feel close to his grandparents, his own parents, but it brought up these old feelings of shame and rejection and not feeling like enough, and that when you have enough, it's going to be taken from you and stuff like that. This is how our egotism operates. This is how... So this person was recalling a story and although it might bring up the feelings of remembering a relative, it's also entering into that loss and reinforcing, let's say, that idea of, oh, if I have abundance, it's just going to be taken from me again. And so you're reinforcing that pathway in your brain, because our egotisms, they're always afraid, they're always insecure because they never have enough. Okay, so the cure for this is not to have a mistaken identity, to know who you really are, to know your essence. So let me get this again. Here's this little piece of wood. Okay, now look. If you have this mistaken identity that, I'm not enough, okay? Or that I'm only... if my grandfather says you are not enough, you're never doing enough, you're never measuring up enough, or whatever. If I have this idea, and this is an idea in my mind, and I'm letting my mind run my life, and these old chemicals, these old feelings, and I don't realize, see, I got my nails done like this to remind me that I am consciousness. I am a soul that is in a body. I am in this body right now, in this lifetime. and I'm having an experience. But if you think of we're made in the image and likeness of God, I am, in a sense, one with God and was made out of the substance of God. I'm part Native American, and I learned from Red Elk when he taught me, when I went with him for 3 days, he taught me, and after that too on the phone, but I went with him in person. He was saying, Mitakuwashin is like, what they believe is that we're all in the mind womb of God. We're in this dream of God. And so it's kind of like, if you are love and you are this consciousness and you get this experience to know love and to be love to other people and to connect with love and be in this place of enjoyment, enjoy in yourself, enjoying yourself, and letting go of all those old ideas that came from other people that aren't even you. They're just, if you think of them, they're just like, radio waves. When you're in that vibration of believing I'm not enough and I'm only this external person, and those kinds of things, then you tune into that station, and then everything's not enough. Because so let me tie this together. All right, so let's say, again, in childhood, you have certain experiences that make you feel like you're not enough, but it's not true, but it's the experience you had. So you develop chemicals in your brain, and those chemicals want to keep being fed, all right? And so what we'll accidentally do or unconsciously do is keep producing experiences, like go after the guy or the girl that rejects us or whatever and continuously rejects us, because we're used to that feeling and that feels familiar. And even though it sucks and it's horrible, that's the clinical term, and we don't want that feeling anymore, we don't want to perpetuate that feeling, it's like this is what we'll go back to because we think that's all we deserve, because that's what we experienced. But just because you experience that, if my parents locked me up in a basement, I used to always say this to my clients, for the first 18 years of life, I might see the sun and be like, no, not the sun. I don't deserve the sunlight. It's like, yes, I do. You do. All of us do. Look at that. But I feel like I don't. But that feeling is not truth. That feeling is just a feeling state. And that feeling state is just like anything that is alive. It wants to be fed. It wants your consciousness. You can have your consciousness in thankfulness and appreciation and joy and love and being loving and using your gifts on this earth to give to other people and to be present with yourself, and use that same energy of consciousness to walk away from people who are rejecting you, who don't know how to love themselves and they don't know how to love you. It has nothing to do with you. You are enough. You are always enough. But you see how we'll go back to that because it just wants to be fed. And it's fine. It's just kind of like if you had, some kind of growth or something, and it wanted to be fed in your body, like, something from Stranger Things or something that attached to you. And don't watch it if you get scared of stuff. I'm not recommending. I'm just saying, if you had, and it wants to grow. It's just, look at it like neutral, like not, oh great, now we have scary images. All right, so let go of that. Cancel that thought. It's just know that it's just a neutral thing that wants to it wants to grow off your energy, and you can choose to go, no, I'm going to be in love. I'm going to be in joy. I'm going to let go of that old idea. I'm going to, look. Leia. I'm like, let's get back to the puppy image. I'm going to, let go of that old thought and just be present and learn who I really am. Who are you? Are you that that mind experience, or are you that experience from childhood, or are you love? Are you So look at, even if I say it's a mistaken identity, it's an identity you've taken on that's not yours to take on. So let it go. All right, I'm going to finish this before 15 minutes. I wish you so much love. We'll talk more soon.